To the 12 tribes of the children of Israel scattered abroad, greetings in the name of our Creator, the Most High Yah, and Jesus Christ of Nazareth, our soon coming King. This is a continuation of the series on polygamy, and this shows a map where it is legal and where it is illegal or criminalized. Polygamy is the same thing as bigamy. Multiple wives is the same thing as whoredom, is the same thing as adultery, because the Most High made it more difficult for people to commit adultery in the Bible. So in many countries, mostly in Africa, Oceania, polygamous marriages, some of them are customary, but in a lot of the Christian world and in the Americas, it is illegal, and we ought to obey the laws of the Most High and the laws of the countries in which we live. The marriage bed is to remain undefiled and pure, and as you know in the Bible, if we're not virgins, then the punishment for that is death. So a lot of churches and countries who are teaching that polygamy is good, it is not. The Bible says one man, one woman, that is the marriage that the Most High set up in the beginning for Adam and Eve. So in the Americas, it is not legal. In Antigua, Barbuda, Argentina, Bahamas, Barbados, Belize, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Cuba, Dominica, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, El Salvador, Grenada, Guatemala, Guyana, Haiti, Honduras, Jamaica, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, St. Kitts Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago, United States. Polygamy is illegal in all 50 states, but not federally. From 1847 to 1857, what is now the state of Utah, many Mormons practice polygamy. And as you know, they don't practice the Bible. They have their own books, and they teach a lot of doctrines that are anti-Christ, anti-children of Israel. So they have the Anti-Bigamy Act. Bigamy and polygamy is the same thing. So it's illegal in the United States as well, and in other countries. You can look up, based on the countries, on Wikipedia, the legality of polygamy. Now, in the sequel to the History of the Jews, which is what we use in addition to the Bible, polygamy is abolished at the Synod of Worms. A synod is like a group of religious leaders who gather together to say what is lawful or not. So it says, is polygamy allowed among the Jews? And the Jews are the children of Israel. So they make the laws, and the Most High give them the laws. And then the earth follows what the children of Israel do. So is polygamy allowed among the Jews? Polygamy is forbidden according to a decree of the Synod of Worms in 1030. In Deuteronomy 17 verse 7, the Most High also says, do not multiply wives. That was to the kings, and nobody is above the king. So if the king can't multiply wives, the subjects also can't multiply wives. Do not multiply chariots, horses, silver, and gold. You saw David was destroyed because of polygamy. He repented when he had wives already, and then he targeted Uriah's wife, which was Bathsheba. The child died, and then a lot of the Israelites got punished, which wasn't even David's sin, but he's the king. He's to lead by example. The Israelites went into captivity because of Solomon's sin. The Most High told them, don't make marriages with them, don't multiply wives. He did the same thing, and he was the wisest man. At the end of the day, he said he didn't find one good woman after having thousands upon thousands and thousands of them. That was his conclusion. So polygamy destroyed Solomon, and don't let it destroy you, because those examples of sin are in the Bible for you to learn from. When Abraham was before the law, he couldn't bear children. He had with Hagar. Hagar started teasing Sarah, and then all the jealousy and the rift came. Abraham had to send away Hagar and her son. Abraham didn't marry again until after Sarah died. So when Sarah died, he married Keturah, and that was his other marriage. The only way in the Bible where you can have wives is when one partner dies, then you can remarry, and you know the laws of those things in the books of Moses. So this whole womanizing, multiple harems is called whoredom. Okay? So it says right here, is divorce recognized? Divorce is allowed, but in this respect, the Jews recognize the authority of the civil law of the land in which they live. So we are also to obey the laws of the lands in which we live, and also the laws of the Bible. So you have already seen the countries where polygamy is illegal, and it is inclusive of the United States and many of the Christian countries. Now, unbelievers like Muslims who practice it, they don't even believe in the Bible. So you cannot yoke yourself with unbelievers and say, okay, if unbelievers are doing it, then you can do it too. It doesn't work like that. So in terms of marriage, this is the Bible dictionary. And this is reading from Nelson's Bible dictionary. And the institution of marriage dates from the time of man's original creation, which is Adam and Eve. Genesis 2 verse 18 to 25. From Genesis 2 verse 24, we may evolve the following principles. The unity of man and wife as implied in her being formed out of man. Notice it is singular. Adam and Eve, that's the marriage. Noah and his 3 sons and their wives. One wife for each of them went into the ark. That is what is set up for us to follow. Okay? The unity of man and wife as implied in our being formed out of man. The indissolubleness of marriage bond except on the strongest grounds. Compare Matthew 19 verse 9. And that says death or fornication. Only those 2 grounds. Monogamy is the original law of marriage. Did you all hear this, polygamists? Monogamy, this is the Bible dictionary defined by the Israelites who knew what the law was. Monogamy is the original law of marriage, the social equality of man and wife, the subordination of the wife to the husband. So man is at the head, wife next. And that is in 1 Corinthians 11 verse 8. And 9 and 1 Timothy 2 verse 13. The respective duties of man and wife. In the patriarchal age, polygamy prevailed, which is during the time of Genesis 16 verse 4, 25, 1, 6, 28 and 9, 29, 23, 28, 1 Chronicles 7, 14, but to a great extent divested of the degradation in which modern times attaches to that practice. So you can see here it was allowed for a certain time, but then the Most High said no more. Okay? Divorce also prevailed in the patriarchal age, though but one instance of it is recorded, Genesis 21 verse 14. The Mosaic law discouraged polygamy, restricted divorce, and aimed to enforce the purity of life. It was the best civil law possible at the time and sought to bring the people up to the pure standard of the moral law. In the post-Babylonian period, monogamy appears to have become more prevalent than at any previous time. The practice of polygamy nevertheless still existed. Herod the Great had no less than 9 wives, one at a time. You can pick up how traumatizing that was for him and his wives and his children in the book of Josephus. There are no good examples of polygamous marriages in the Bible. Not Solomon, not with David and Bathsheba, not with Herod the Great, none of them, not in modern times either. So, in the Hebrew, the Commonwealth marriage was prohibited, between an Israelite and a non-Israelite. So, Negroes are not to marry people from other races. It's prohibited. There were 3 grades of prohibition. Total in regard to the Canaanites on either side. Total on the Ammonites and Moabites. Those were Lot's incestuous children. The Canaanites were the Africans, the sons or the descendants of Ham. and a temporary on the side of the males in regard to the Edomites and Egyptians. Marriages with females in the two latter instances being regarded as legal, the progeny of illegal marriages between Israelites and non-Israelites was described as bastard. Deuteronomy 23 verse 2. So mixed race marriages, it says it again, those children born of them are known as bastards. Okay. So between an Israelite and one of his own community, the regulations relative to marriage between Israelites and Israelites were based on considerations of relationship. The most important passage relating to these is contained in Leviticus 18, verse 6 to 18, where we have in the first place a general prohibition against between man and the flesh of his flesh, and in the second place special prohibitions against marriage with a mother, stepmother, sister, or half-sister, whether born at home or abroad, granddaughter, aunt, whether by consanguinity on either side or by marriage on the father's side, daughter-in-law, brother's wife, stepdaughter, wife's mother, step-granddaughter, or wife's sister during the lifetime of the wife. An exception is subsequently made in Deuteronomy 25 verse 5 to 9 in favor of marriage with a brother's wife in the event of his having died childless. So the second marriage only comes when the brother dies childless. And the law which regulates this has been named the levirate, from the Latin lever, brother-in-law. So it says, let's see. It talks about how the marriage bed is kept pure. Okay. It says Deuteronomy 22, 23, 24. The husband having, however, the option of putting her away. That's described during the divorce time. Under what conditions? Okay. Deuteronomy 24 verse 1, Matthew 1 verse 19. The essence of the marriage ceremony consisted in the removal of the bride from her father's house to that of the bridegroom or his father. The bridegroom prepared himself for the occasion by putting on a festive dress and especially by placing on his head a handsome nuptial turban. Psalm 45 verse 8 and Canticles or Song of Solomon 4 verse 10, verse 11. The bride was veiled, her robes were white, Revelation 19 verse 8, and sometimes embroidered with gold thread. Psalm 45 verse 13 and 14. Okay, so it tells you how she prepared herself for wedding. All right, so you can read that, get your Bible dictionary. So when you're not sure about what the law says or how it was handled, the people who actually lived it will help to explain it for you. So yeah, marriage is honorable and the marriage bed should be kept pure. Okay, so it tells you about the silly women who fall into the trap of polygynous men and women. They call pimps, harems, same thing like the kings used to do, that the Most High says don't do those things. So it says that's just fulfilling in 2 Timothy 3. It says, For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. For of this sort there are which creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away by diverse lusts. So that's how they end up into polygamous relationship. They're silly and stupid and let men lead them astray. Unto Caesar you should give to Caesar, and unto God what is God. So to obey is better than sacrifice. And the Most High say, okay, don't tempt him. If you see already examples in the Bible where it says don't multiply marriages and marriages lead to destruction, multiple marriages at the same time, don't tempt the Most High. Don't go back into those things. So render unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things which are God, which means we need to obey the laws of the land. As you can see from the Synod of Worms, that they said they had to obey the laws of the land. Okay? So it says, even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner were destroyed, giving themselves over to fornication. Multiple marriages is fornication as well. And it's adultery, and it's polygyny, and it's bigamy, and it's whoredom. So Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed for that. So don't go back into the same thing. Okay. So that's my little thing on Matthew 15 verse 31 as well. Tells you how anybody shall put away his wife except for fornication, causes her to commit adultery, and whosoever shall marry her that is divorced committed adultery. So those who want to think that it's easier to have multiple wives now, all of those marriages are adultery. If the wife is still alive and the divorced husband is still alive, and if it had nothing to do with fornication. Alright, so that's it. So Deuteronomy 17:17, do not multiply wives, goes for the king as well as for the subject, because nobody's greater than the king, and we have many examples of kings that were destroyed because of adultery and polygamy and so on. So don't be following those bad examples that are in the scriptures. They're there for you to learn from.